Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Allen, and I'm joined by my usual broadcast partner, former NHL defenseman Tom Laidlaw, who played 11 seasons with the New York Rangers and Los Angeles Kings. This is the Laidlaw and Allen Report. Come to you twice a week to talk all things hockey. And, of course, what we're talking about now is the postseason, the playoffs, highly entertaining. And our special guest, who has actually become kind of a regular for us, is Newsday New York Islanders beat writer Andrew Gross. And Andrew, welcome to the show. You've got an interesting series you're covering.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's been back and forth, and it's funny. And again, as I mentioned before we went on, listening to the Pittsburgh media the other day, you would think that the Penguins had not won a game in the series, and they had finished 31st in the NHL. And meanwhile, listening to that, it got me thinking, because the way the New York media has covered the New York angle, and I realize, we've all written that the Islanders have not played well for most of this series as well. So, I guess it's all in the perception, but, gutty win, and really what the one thing you're taking out of this series is the Islanders, suspected that Ilya Sorokin was the goalie of the future. He might be the goalie of the present now as well.
Well, that's interesting you brought, because that's what I wanted to talk about. Before he came over here, I had talked to some scouts about him, and they just talked about his statistics in the Continental Hockey League. And, you look at him, and its save percentage is all north of 930, and it's goals against averages of just over 1, certainly well below 2. And you just, you kind of chuckle to yourself thinking, yeah, well, wait till he gets to the NHL. But saying all that, I did expect a lot from him. And, we saw glimpses of it in the regular season. But here we are in an important playoff series, and I'm staring at a 951 save percentage and a 166 goals against average. He's 3-0. Suddenly he is the goalie that we thought he could be, and at the most opportune time for the Islanders.
Yeah, no, he absolutely stole a game, game 5. And, the Islanders, we can debate when they started getting to their game. I didn't think it was until overtime started. Barry Trotz thought, he saw some signs in the third period, but we can all agree that the first 2 periods were pretty atrocious, and it was a testament to Ilya Sorokin that they come into the third period, basically with the chance. They're only down 2-1. I mean, that really could have been a 4-5-1 game at that point if Sorokin had not been playing the way he played. He wound up, I know it's double overtime, or 51 seconds into the second overtime, but he makes 48 saves, and some of them, it was funny. So the Islanders get, this goal at the end of the first period. Anthony Beauvillier takes advantage of the fact that Chris Letang gets caught up ice, and, he works his way around Jake Gensel, and he ties it up, last minute, first period. And I thought, okay, now the Islanders are going to build off that and get off to a good start in the second period. First 61 seconds of the second period, Sorokin has to stop Sidney Crosby and then Brandon Tanev on 2-on-1 chances. And the save he made on Tanev was, had to stretch out his right pad as far as he could go. And it's a good thing he's so flexible and acrobatic and athletic. And the Islanders just didn't get to their game. They wound up, giving up 17 of the first 18 shots in the first period, but still they go into the third period with the chance, just down 2-1. And I agree, Kevin, I know I'm going a little long with this on Sorokin, but you looked at his KHL numbers and you thought the same thing. How is he going to track pucks through NHL traffic? How is he going to adjust to the angles? How is he going to deal with the physical game? Because KHL goalies don't get bumped in the crease nearly as much as NHL goalies. And the numbers have not changed for Sorokin. You mentioned, his numbers here, and then you compare that to what the Penguins are getting out of Tristan Jarry in this series. And, I haven't done the updated numbers, but he came into that game 5, which he lost 3-2 when he gives the puck away in the second overtime. He came in at 904 save percentage and a 304 goals against. And look, in the playoffs, that just doesn't get it done.
Yeah, you're not going to win a series.
Yeah.
Just real quick here before I turn you over to Tom and his level of torture. But I wanted to
for the Ranger hater.
Yeah. But I just wanted to real quick. Normally I find Barry Trotz to be relatively easy to read because he's very logical. But I had no idea how he was going to play his goalies, and I wondered, do you think he kind of thought this was how it was going to work out, or what do you think his thought process on his goalies were coming into the?
Well, I mean, and we should mention Mitch Korn, the director of goaltending, and Piero Greco, because I think they sort of go to Barry and go, this is who we think should start, and Barry signs off on that. But, Barry's the chief executive, and, I think Barry's strength is he goes into every playoff with such an open mind. He's not set on one goalie. We saw that with the Capitals in 2018, and we saw this last season when he starts Thomas Greiss in a Game 7 against the Flyers when Semyon Varlamov had been playing, most of the games. I will say this. I think I went 0 for 2 trying to predict who would start, because I go out to practice before Game 1. And Varley comes out of the season finale in Boston with the strain, misses a couple of practices. But the practice before Game 1, he looked fine. He went through the whole practice. He had skated the day before. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, your presumed number one goalie has a really good practice, looks fine. Of course, you're going to start Varlamov in Game 1. And no, he goes to Sorokin in Game 1. Sorokin is outstanding. They win in overtime. He makes 39 saves. So now I'm at the morning skate before Game 2, and he sends all three goalies, including Corey Schneider, out there. And Semyon Varlamov and Corey Schneider are sharing a net, and Ilya Sorokin is working on his own at the other end of the ice. And look, I'm not a hockey savant. I'm not a genius. I'm none of those things. But I know when two goalies are sharing one net and one goalie has a net to himself, that's the starter of the night, the guy with the net, and that was Sorokin. So imagine my surprise when I see Varlamov. And, so that was probably a bit of gamesmanship on Barry's part, knowing there was some media in there. So, I was 0 for 2, and I just threw up my hands. And, if Varley gives up a bad goal to start Game 2, but then he had a pretty good game in Game 2. He recovered from that, even though they lost 2-1. The Islanders just couldn't generate enough offense against Jarry to break through. I understand going back to Varley in Game 3, but now I don't think until Ilya Sorokin shows that he should not be in net. I at least, my, less than Barry Trotz like feel for who to start in net. I would say this is Ilya Sorokin's net until proven otherwise.
It's interesting, Andrew, your take at the start here. We start talking about the media, particularly in Pittsburgh, and how they're looking at Pittsburgh's playing so bad. I heard a rumor, and I don't know if any truth there or not, that if Pittsburgh loses this series, that Mike Sullivan, the coach, gets fired.
I had heard that as well, and the reasoning is not so much probably, that this would be 3 first-round losses in a row, right? But I got to be honest, I think this was Sully's best job since he got to Pittsburgh this season, right?
I agree. Yeah.
But I think the overriding factor with Sully might be just a clash of philosophies with Brian Burke and Ryan Hextall more than anything else. And I'll be honest. I mean, with the Rangers, Tom, if Sully's out there, you got to think about that, right?
He's a BU guy too, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he's got the Boston accent.
So the first coach, this could be in history, the first coach to get coach of the year that gets fired too, right? I mean, I agree with you. He's a candidate for coach of the year.
Yeah.
In baseball, I think that happened to Joe Girardi with the Florida
Oh.
Marlins. But other than that, yeah, no. And look, I covered Sully when he was John Tortorella's assistant with the Rangers. A really good hockey mind. For me, I think the Penguins would be nuts to let this guy go.
Yeah.
But Andrew, I think you're right on in your assessment of. I think that if he is fired, it will be not so much about what happened in the postseason, but the fact that he doesn't, the heavy hockey. That's not him. And that's the way they're going. I think we have a feeling that's the way they're going, and that's kind of how the league is going back to again. You look at the teams, people are trying to especially get heavy on the back end. So,
but Kev, is he really a guy that doesn't like the heavy hockey? He's just always been given a fast, speedy team there in Pittsburgh.
Well, that's true, but I think they've talked about it in the past about maybe wanting to get some bigger guys, and I think they sort of realized that that's not the way he prefers to play. Now, saying all that, like Scotty Bowman. I always use him as an example. Didn't coach anything like he did when he first started. He adapted through the years to what was going on. So, why couldn't Sullivan do that? Sullivan's a terrific coach. So,
yeah, I would also point out. I mean, the Rangers under John Tortorella, I wouldn't call them like the heaviest team in the world, but they were a grinding, physical, block shots, defense first team, and you got to think Sully was as big a part of that. He was in lockstep with Torts on that. So I agree. Good coaches don't try and force players into their philosophy. Good coaches adapt to what they're given. I think Sully's a heck of a coach.
And let me ask you this: you covered the Rangers. I've heard through the years. Now, I've never seen any example of this, but I've been told by players that Sullivan is just as hard-edged as Tortorella. In fact, can be more hard-edged. He just never does it publicly.
Well, here's exactly how I used to describe it to people when Torts and Sully were coaching the Rangers. I used to say it was bad cop, worse cop. Because
I love that.
Because Torts would get into the players. Torts' things is he breaks down the players, but then, he builds them back up, right? I think the players cringed more when Sully would criticize him. He really would get into them.
Well, I had a player tell me that sometimes Tortorella actually had to play the good cop after Sullivan was done with the player. Like he had sort of softened it a little bit.
Yeah,
you think of Phil Kessel there in Pittsburgh too, right? He needed Rick Tocchet there to kind of suit that situation. So
yeah. Well, hey, if Rick Tocchet goes to the Rangers, does Phil Kessel follow?
No way.
Yeah.
No. Rick Tocchet, my thing is, I think Rick Tockett's going to go back to Philly. I think they're going to make a change there.
That wouldn't surprise me either. I'd heard some whispers that maybe AV didn't survive this.
So what are you hearing about Gerard Gallant then? I mean, he was in here for a visit, toured the facility and everything.
Yeah, no, I think the same thing you guys, that they love him. They think highly of him, and it seems like he would be a really good fit for where that organization is. And I would have no issues with them hiring Gerard Gallant there. I think, with those young players, it's so funny. Gallant has gotten just a raw deal now, 2 times in a row. Yeah. And it was nothing he did.
Yeah, totally. No. Yeah, how do you take an expansion team to the finals like that and then you get fired after that?
That was wrong.
That was ridiculous. Just getting back to the Islanders a little bit. Down the stretch, obviously it was painful to watch the Islanders try to get a goal. And in this series, they've averaged over 3 goals per game. They've kind of found it. I looked this morning and I see that they have 10 different guys. 9 of the forwards have scored. They're getting it spread around a little bit. Did you see this coming, or were you concerned that they weren't going to be able to get enough goals?
Yeah, no, I think that's always the case with the Islanders. You worry about the goal production, right? But look, they started shooting high glove on Tristan Jarry, and that seemed to. But you know what? It's more than that. They've worked for some of these goals, and I think the thing with the Islanders that's been good is, Matthew Barzal has struggled to score goals. And Jordan Eberle, I know, he had a goal in the other game. So he's got 2 now in this series, but he wasn't necessarily producing at the rate the Islanders are expecting. But the Brock Nelson line is going really well. The Jean-Gabriel Pageau line is going really well. Although for tonight's game, game 6, probably Oliver Wahlstrom is not going to be able to go. And then, Barry was talking about Travis Zajac going in his spot. So you wonder, whether that line's going to go as well without Wally. But the Islanders, they score as they have been scoring all year. They don't score in tons, but they just get it up and down the lineup. Even, Cal Clutterbuck pitches in with a couple of goals in that 5-4 loss. So, they're doing it by committee, which is the way, they're set up to do.
Why hasn't Zajac been playing? I like him a lot as a player.
Yeah, they got him obviously with Kyle Palmieri. Kyle Palmieri was the guy they, really wanted. Travis Zajac was, a nice, they tried to get Travis last season from the Devils. He didn't want to waive his, his no trade, no movement to leave the Devils at that point. But Barry has tried Travis Zajac lines 1 through 4 and at all 3 forward spots. And Travis just couldn't settle into a role where he was, productive enough, to make it stick. So they, Wahlstrom, they want Wahlstrom in the lineup because of his shot, because he'll play on the power play. And look, he's been really good in this series. It was basically, Travis Zajac just, he was the last guy not to find a seat. He was the next forward. Just not finding a comfortable role. I think the transition's been a little tough on Travis. You play 1,000 games, 1,024 games with one franchise. And I know he was hoping to retire a Devil. So, this is a great chance for Travis. He's had limited playoff runs since getting to the Cup final in 2012. So, at his stage in his career, this is a chance for him to really take advantage of this opportunity here. And I think, if he does just slot in Wahlstrom's spot on J.G. Pageau's right wing, at least you have the familiarity of playing with Kyle Palmieri, your old Devils teammate on that line. Maybe that gets you going a little bit.
Well, Andrew, it's time to let you go, but what should we expect tonight? Is Sorokin playing so well that they'll close it out without question, or is there still some doubt?
I think there's always doubt. Any team, again, I heard you on Pittsburgh radio the other day discussing, Sidney Crosby and Geno Malkin and Chris Letang and how the production is down for those 3. But still, look, I don't think you shut the door on any team that has Sid Crosby on it. Gensel can score 2-3 goals at a drop of a hat. Brian Rust has been really good this series. I picked the Islanders in 7. Personally, selfishly, I would prefer not to be in a car driving back to Pittsburgh tomorrow. But it would not surprise me if the Penguins find a way here.
I agree. I think it's going to be a game 7. Yep.
All right, Andrew. Well, again, thanks so much for your insight, for giving us your time, and hope to talk to you again next round.
Anytime, guys.
Hey, Andrew, what's that jersey behind my head, Andrew? What is that jersey?
Oh, it's a Rangers. And you know what? That's the same. That's one of the same jerseys I bought for my brother when we were kids, when they had the New York on the crest. I bought him a Steve Vickers number 8.
Nice.
on my
Steve
brother's
Vickers.
for my brother's 8th birthday. I bought him a
Very
number
nice.
8.
Very good.
I
All
love
right,
that.
bud. Good
All
seeing
right, thanks a lot, Andrew.
All right, guys.
Well, that was Andrew Gross.
He's good.
Newsday. Oh yeah. I love having him on just because I love the guys that really know their teams, and he's among them. He's wired in. He understands what's going on with the team. He knows who's playing well and who isn't.
And do you think there's truth maybe to Sullivan getting fired if they lose this series?
I think it's a possibility just for all those reasons. First of all, you got a new management team in there.
Yeah.
That's not their guy. They haven't had playoff success, even though they played exceptionally well this regular season and really kind of surprised people. I mean, I joke with you about the fact that you had predicted they were going to falter, but you were not alone. There were a lot of people that thought they were going to falter. And, so if they fail in the playoffs yet again, and then there is the issue, I think, of I've never seen Burke, quoted quoted saying, well, we're going to get, big and ugly, but I think there's a sense they're going to try to get heavier. I think there's also a feeling that that's not the way that Sullivan wants to coach. So we'll see.
And Brian Burke did that when he went into Anaheim too. He got rid of Mike Babcock, right?
Right.
Right away as soon as you got in there. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it's nice to have a good regular season, but you look at the teams that have won recently, even the teams like Vegas have gone to the finals. St. Louis was a heavier team. Tampa became a heavier team. Boston's a heavier team now.
Washington was a heavier team. Yeah. So, I think there is, heavy is always in style. But I think it's just been more pronounced a little bit. And, we went through that period of speed. And now we're less enchanted with guys skating 100 miles an hour.
Right. I think it was just something that the general managers kind of wanted to have happen, that speed thing, right? I don't think the game has really changed at all as far as being a heavy team. I know the rules have changed with the hooking and holding, but as far as playing in a playoff series, those big guys pounding you all the time, it's like seems like it always, at some point, it always pays off.
Well, and to be honest, St. Louis hasn't been the same team since they lost all that size.
Yeah, that's true.
They had Boomeister was on that team, and
Pietrangelo.
Yeah, for sure. They were much bigger than they are now. Now they've got guys like Torrey Krug and So and then
you get Craig Berube as the coach too, and he plays that in your face game too. That's right. That's what he coaches and played. So
yeah, for sure. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Edmonton Oilers, and what's interesting about that series is, look, you certainly have to be critical of the team because they were not only eliminated, but they were swept.
Yeah.
And they lost some leads. They didn't get top performances by, their top players. But I got to be honest with you, I didn't see that. Those games could have gone either way. Yeah. I don't see that this team should be the fact that they're asking, or they did ask Connor McDavid whether he still wants to be part of this organization. I don't think it was as devastating of a loss as other people seem.
The last two games, especially going into, both of them were double overtime, weren't they?
Yeah. So yeah. I don't know. I know what people are saying, but and like Smith played okay. He was fine. So
Connor Hellebuyck was incredible. Yeah.
But saying that, to me, priority number one is Smith's 39 years old. Yeah. You need to go out and get a goalie. Get a goalie that so that we're not going to, but if we were going to play this all Canadian division next year, you don't want me and you sitting in a podcast going, well, the worst goaltending in that division is in Edmonton.
But who do you get though? And I agree with you 100%. But who do you get?
Well, how about Varlamov?
Yeah,
2 years left on a contract. Lou's got cap space issues. He's got guys to sign, including Sorokin.
Yeah.
Can they afford to keep both Sorokin and Varlamov?
Yeah, I know. And what do you do in Vegas, right? You got to do something. You can't have both those goaltenders. They did it this year and it worked, but
it's not. If they win the cup, I think they can. I think they'll just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
You're always on borrowed money.
I mean, at some point, what the Rangers do with their two young goaltenders too, right? I mean, I think Shesterkin is the guy, but do they do something with Georgiev? But then, if you're Edmonton, do you gamble? He's still a young player, right? He's not that proven guy.
Yeah, I think Edmonton needs an established guy. Like that's the guy you trade to Detroit. Detroit wants a younger guy. They don't have one within their organization that they're fully committed to grow with that. Although they might just. They got Grice. Detroit has Grice committed to a contract 1 more year, and you could re-sign Bernier. Both those guys played well.
Yeah, totally.
So,
but it's interesting going back to Edmonton there too. I didn't hear that they had asked McDavid if he still wanted to be there. That's to me, that's a huge
are you getting weary of this? It was one of those type questions, right. But I don't know why we do that.
Yeah, like you said, 2 games go into double overtime. If you win those 2 games, it's a 2-2 series. You're not talking like that at all.
Yeah, and in saying all that, I don't mean that they shouldn't be subject to criticism because they didn't perform and they needed to do that. I'm just saying it wasn't as devastating. It wasn't like Winnipeg dominated them.
Right. It wasn't like Columbus beating Tampa, right? When
correct.
Tampa was
it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was these were tight games.
Yeah.
They could have gone either way. I think Winnipeg did do a good job of figuring out how to deal with Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
And now he's going to have to, counter that, do some soul searching.
But that's good. To me, that's the thing. If I'm Kenny Hall and the general manager, that's what I'm concerned about, though, is particularly Connor McDavid and Dreisaitl's in this category, too. Are these guys now that are getting the reputation of being good regular season players, a great regular season player, but can't do it in the playoffs, right? Because once that starts, especially in a city like Edmonton, the newspapers are full of that. So next year when the playoffs come around, the questions start coming up again. And now, as much as you can say as a player, you don't pay attention to that, you can't not pay attention to it.
Yeah, but is it fair? I mean, I think this was only Connor McDavid's second playoffs.
Yeah, totally. I know.
It sort of reminds me of, I always just tell the story of because I remember distinctly this going on. Ed Belfour, what did they say about? You can't win. You can't win the big game. Just can't do it. Just doesn't have what it takes mentally to win the big game. Until he did.
Yeah, exactly.
He won the big game, and then he was a Hall of Famer.
And we were saying that about Alex Ovechkin too. I was certainly saying it. Yeah, he didn't.
Well, I never said that about Alex Ovechkin because I thought he had it in him, but.
Yeah, I know. To me, he just had to learn to win. But they're all like that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, Connor McDavid, they'll be fine there, especially with Kenny Holland. I mean, that's the thing. He's proven to be able to put winners together over and over in Detroit, so he'll get it done there. But I do agree with you. Goaltending has to be something they can count on. They can't.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys on that Edmonton team that I like.
Yeah,
I like Adam Larson. I think he hits. He's hard to play against. He's not a offensive defenseman. I like Darnell Nurse.
Yes, I like Nurse a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I think these are guys that get done. I saw Darnell Nurse being interviewed, and they asked him kind of what happened, and he said, "Well, clearly we could have done some things better, but I don't know what happened." And he generally seemed as confused as I am of what happened to that team. Like I don't think, he didn't say, we deserve to win the series. He said we should have played better, but I think they're totally perplexed about why they didn't win.
And you know what we're forgetting too? You got to give Winnipeg a lot of credit. They got great goaltending.
Sure.
Paul Maurice is a good coach too. He had a good game plan. I think that's where I think we're looking and thinking, well, Edmonton should win because of Draisaitl and McDavid, right? 2 of the top players in the game, so they should win. But you're not giving enough credit to what Winnipeg did out there too. So.
Well, yeah, I remember writing a column at some point during the season where I said, "Don't sleep on Winnipeg because they got some talent on that team, and they got guys that are playoff. If I'm in the regular season, Scheifele's, and a strong player, an excellent player, but in the playoffs, he's a beast.
He does blocking the shots and everything. Yeah,
he's just a different kind of player. He becomes more valuable." In the postseason, and there are a lot of guys like that in the league where their mental makeup is just fits the playoffs better. So
I remember playing against Dougie Gilmour was like that too, and he's a good player during the regular season. And he was a tiny little guy too, but during the playoffs, he turned into an animal out there. He just was a whole different guy, like vicious. He was just nasty, and you would be the kind of guy who was kind of polite game you play against him during the regular season. Then all of a sudden they flip that switch in the playoffs. I remember looking at it one time, and I think I said something to him, and he was going to talk to me at all his playoff time, and he was in another mode. So a lot of guys like that.
What do we now? Wayne took the money, and Wayne Gretzky is going to be on the Turner broadcast, and they're going to pattern it after the NBA, which is, I'm not a huge NBA fan, but if I know that the NBA show is on, which
with Charles Barkley
and those guys, I tune in because they know how to analyze a game. And they analyze it in such a way as every comment they make, you're going, whoa, or it's funny.
Yeah. They're hilarious. I love listening to him and Shaq go back and forth. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Shaquille, and they criticize players, but even when they criticize them, and they criticize them harshly, they don't hate them. Like you just feel it. I don't know why, but like I don't think Charles Barkley. There's probably a couple guys he hates, but
I just watched an interaction they had. I think Charles Barkley went after LeBron James. Yeah. And then Shaquille O'Neal came back at him. Like, I think Charles was trying to say, well, I didn't come at him personally. And then Shaq goes, oh, yes, you did come at him personally. It was pretty good.
Yeah, no. And they're just, it's just an excellent show. And I know they want to try to do that. I'm not sure Wayne is the guy to do that.
No,
but I do think it could still be excellent because, I've interviewed him many, many times, and he's always insightful. Yeah. So you just gotta find other guys that can provide the the humor or the the higher level of entertainment, and then let Wayne, because you still need to analyze the game and provide.
Kevin Weeks to me has got a good sense of humor too. You watch him on the network, and he's very knowledgeable, analyzes the game well. I didn't realize Wayne took that job. So I saw that he left Edmonton. I didn't know.
Yeah. Job. Yeah. I think it was the New York Post that broke it. I just think that's a good hire. I mean, most people have said almost exactly the same thing. Like they're trying to duplicate what they did. The other thing about the NBA show is, and you just hit the nail on the head, Shaquille and Sir Charles. I mean, these guys are all star players. Like, these are not guys that barely hung on to their NBA careers.
So that's gonna be interesting. I'm just trying to think of Wayne. Like I remember the Wayne in the locker room that I knew that I played with. He had a good sense of humor on the bus. He's a funny guy too,
he
right?
Is funny. But I just can't see Wayne using his humor to criticize people.
Yeah, I think more going back and forth with other hosts, maybe, right? Like,
for sure, yeah. He'll end up defending somebody. He'll play that role for sure. Yeah, no, he's actually a funny guy, but I just, their humor is often biting on the NBA, and I don't know that Wayne wants to.
Well, here's Susan asking a good question. Susan's been picking on me lately. I don't know if I should put her up here, but I will. Any chance Tortorella becomes part of that show if not coaching? I don't think Tortorella.
That would be interesting.
Torts and Wayne up there, two different personalities, two different ways of looking at it.
Well, and he's won, so he's got a pedigree. Yeah, he's got himself the championship.
Who else would be a funny? I think Bruce Boudreau's got a pretty good sense of humor too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I'm not sure he's not modern enough.
Yeah, that's true. Kevin BX is good too. He's got a good sense of humor.
Yeah, he's real good, but that doesn't give them the star power that I think they want.
That's true. That is true.
We'll have to think about that, but I'm sure there are other guys that we could, kind of put in that group.
I'm trying to think of a star guy. Interesting.
So, because you look at our analysts around the game. Keith Jones was a journeyman player, a hell of an analyst.
Yeah,
does a tremendous job, but he's not.
My old client Brian Boucher, I guess I don't know if he's star enough when he played, but
he signed with ESPN.
Oh, he did already. Oh,
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Where have I been?
Yeah, I think he signed with ESPN. I'm not positive of that, but I think so.
Well, then how about Eddie Olchuk? And what about him too? He's probably gone to.
Well, Eddie's going to be. I think he's going to be the analyst. I would assume. I just can't imagine them not hiring Eddie Olchuk. He's a terrific analyst.
I don't know if Wayne would like this one, but Sean Avery.
Yeah, no, it won't be Sean Avery. I'm pretty confident.
I think Wayne would say, "Well, I'll pass it. It's going to be Sean Avery going on the show."
Yeah, no, I don't think he'll get on it. Well, anyway, I hope they. We've never actually had something quite like that.
Here's one. Here's the one for you. Very close to Wayne, Marty McSorley.
Marty McSorley would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he ever done anything like that?
Yes, he did a little TV work and radio work when he first retired, I think. I think he was up in Canada, but he's very close to Wayne. And he's got a pretty good sense of humor. He's good.
I'll tell you who would be good in my opinion because he's very opinionated, Ray Ferraro.
Yes, he's good.
I think Ferraro ended up, if I'm not mistaken, or I heard was going to go to ESPN.
Right.
So,
how about Pierre McGuire?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
I like that one.
Yeah, don't think that's going to happen.
Wayne and Pierre not get along?
No. I just think that I don't know that they're going to put him on the main set. Peter McGuire.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody that's Wayne, because they want Wayne to be able to interact with somebody, right? It's like the same kind of personalities. And Rick Tockett's out there. I mean, those two guys know each other.
Well, I think Rick's going to end up with a coaching job.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Sure.
I think he might end up in Buffalo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, as we're going through all the coach, how about Mike Babcock? I don't think he's really got that personality there.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think he's what they want.
Well, here's one. How about Jeremy Roenick?
Roenick would be terrific. The question is he forever stained? How will the other networks view that?
Again, I think he's pretty tight with Wayne as well, right? And Wayne's, my guess is, I mean, not like he's going to run the show, but I think they're going to lean on him too for his opinion on things too. Like who else do you want on the show with you and that kind of stuff. So,
well, and the one thing about Jeremy is he can be the guy that comes out with the outrageous.
Cool.
You need someone like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think McSorley, well, I'm trying to think. I guess he could too, but definitely JR. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how the networks will view that. It'll be interesting to see. I think we'd be guessing if we, would say what one way or the other.
Oh, here's Susan's on fire here today. She's got, how about Mike Keenan? I hope not, but.
Mike Keenan is very good.
How about Mike Milbury as well?
Yeah, again, but how would they feel about having that?
I wouldn't, but
I mean, it's just like Milbury. It would really be unbelievable. That's right up his alley. But
definitely. How about here's one, Barry Melrose. Well, he's tight with the ESPN guys, right?
Yeah. Well, he's not going to leave Turner. I mean, he's not going to go to Turner. He's with ESPN.
Yeah. Oh, so okay. Just to be clear, the Gretzky show then is on Turner.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So ESPN will have their own crew.
Yeah, that's true.
So Barry Melrose will be part of all that. It'd be good to have Steve Levy in hockey too. I really like Steve Levy. Right, he's a big hockey guy. So
who's Gary Thorne? Right? Remember him? He's good too. He's still doing baseball, right?
Yeah, for sure. But he has said that he would love to do some hockey.
Oh, he was good. I remember him. His voice was that really distinctive voice, right? You remember?
Oh yeah. No, it was for sure.
How's the lovely Mrs. Terry Allen doing? She's still down in South Carolina?
No, she's got home 2 nights ago. So
here's an television viewer here. She got home. Oh, Tom Laidlaw and Larry Melnick together.
Yeah, and you've done analysis on Russian television.
Yeah,
were you a big hit in Russia? Do you know?
Pardon me?
Were you a big hit in Russia?
Oh yeah. People were staying up in the middle of the night to watch me.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, you don't realize too that I actually did the first year of the San Jose Sharks did the color commentating. They had hired Dennis Hall. Dennis Hall, I don't know if you ever seen him. He's fantastic public speaker.
Hilarious.
Banquet. But he couldn't condense what he was trying to say for the game. He'd just be telling stories all the time. So I think he actually, after like 10 games, just quit. It wasn't working out. So I had done the radio work with the Kings the year before that, so they hired me to do the broadcasting. They actually wanted me to stay on with San Jose, but I got going the agent business, so I had to make a decision, one or the other. It was good.
Wow. Just think how your life would have turned had you taken that job.
I know. I wouldn't. So I wouldn't be friends with you.
Well, but you'd be on Turner.
That's gonna be true. Yeah, be true.
You
You may remember this guy. The gentleman did the play-by-play. I think he was did football as well. Older gentleman, really nice guy, and I can't remember. Really professional guy. My father, I bought him one of those big satellite dishes, the old satellite dishes, before the small ones came out. And when you get the feed, you would get it without the commercials. So you just, even when they went to commercials, you would still be seeing the in-arena action. And we were in Boston one time, and the organ player had Barry Manilow picture on his organ. He had some sheet music. So I said during the break, so my father heard it too. I said, "Oh, that guy's got Barry Manilow on his organ." And all the producers and everybody in the truck started laughing, thinking that was pretty funny. They said, "Well, you won't say that when you go back on the air." And I said, "Well, sure I will." So I said, and the elder gentleman, I can't remember his name, it's awful, great guy. He was very professional and everything. So he's going, "Oh, no, don't say it. So I had to say it when they came back on. So I said, Barry Manilow on his organ. So,
oh, jeez.
My father was very proud of that.
Of all the things you did, that's what your father was proud of.
That was it.
I love that. Well, anyway, we've probably gone a little over today, but we appreciate everyone tuning in. And you got plans for the Memorial Weekend?
Not much. We're supposed to get a lot of rain here. I think probably Monday we're going to try to get together with my family and hang out, but that's about it. How about you?
I'm going up to my cottage and probably spend a couple of days. One of my granddaughters, we're going to celebrate a birthday with her. I'll have all 5 grandkids
nice.
Up there. So we got the boat being delivered actually tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a new boat then. You didn't have a boat before, right?
We got a boat late at the end of last season, but it was near the end.
Okay.
And, it's just a pontoon boat, but it makes fishing a little more fun and the kids to take them out. And my oldest granddaughter is probably just old enough to tube, so we'll pull her behind that. But
nice.
Pretty big. So I'm sure, although it's supposed to be cold here too. So I'm not sure how much water fun we'll have. But
and Mrs. Terry Allen will be cooking, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think no, it may be actually my daughter-in-law, because it's her daughter that's having a birthday. So I'm sure there's the kids get to pick what they're going to eat. So who knows what we're going to have?
I think we're going to go with the lobster, that surf and turf, the lobster, steak, corn on the cob.
You're going to do the lobster, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you want to read me, I'm on hockeybuzz.com, and I also work for sportsbettingdime.com, and I have a podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays with Bob Duff at hockeydebates.com.
Busy man. If you want to listen to the radio version of this show again, you can go to radio.co at 365 Sports. Everybody have a great and safe holiday weekend.